sleeping. Come on, wake up. Open your mind.
I'm here at the OWTWE Preserve. This is the preserve that would be cut in half by the NEC future proposal. The plan has a lot of problems in it, and should they spend the money to go to the more detailed one, they're going to have a lot of problems, I think. This is on a snowy Sunday, and you can see there are people down here using the hiking trails. And the Nature Conservancy's done a nice job here with helping to promote environmental tourism. You can see there's some nice signage. Over here there's a nice map, a pretty detailed map. I notice there's a historic dam noted here. I wonder whether that's been compensated for. You can see the existing path is basically the boundary, and the proposed one cuts through a big old chunk of the preserve here. This trail, which as you can hear is right off the road, is also a quick resource to go take a little meditative walk by the pond. I'm going to go take a few pictures while I'm here. So interestingly, the moraine, which is our big geological feature, is part of it is here. It's just gorgeous. And it just goes on. It's just so nice and peaceful. We have a stone wall here. This tree, scarlet red oak, is even labeled here. So this is quite a nature learning resource. It's beautiful. If you think this ought to be preserved, you can write the Department of Transportation. Please let them know.
Rise up from your hibernation. These are the days of celebration. If you feel the need to boost your pride, ring the bell, let them know you're alive. Wake up. No time for sleeping.
Our city. Donald Trump, go away. Our city. Our city. Our city. Our city. Our city.
All the Trump people have plastic signs. See that little group there up there at the top there? That's it for the Trump program.
Tell me he doesn't lie. Tell me he doesn't lie. Tell me he's not a womanizer. And I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
We're down here at the State House. This is the anti-MAGA rally. The Trump people don't seem like they had as much staying power. Most of them have left. But there was a lot of energy and a lot of commitment to opposing the authoritarian regime, xenophobia, anti-women, just about every issue that the right really yells a lot about was opposed to. The people have this one-year marching band, and they really made a strong stand that we believe in having a sanctuary city in Providence and having a culture of tolerance, a government that takes care of the needs of people and doesn't stand for the oligarchs and stand for racist oppression. It's looks about 2-1 now, maybe 3-1 against, something like that. And anti-group. Now that's the anti-group right there, and that's the pro-group right there. Yeah. Because they don't want anybody to get in any fights.
Yeah, I know, but it's miscommunication. I think we won though.
Yeah.
We are unstoppable. We are unstoppable.
This is the Women's March Group rally.
USDA reports that 12% of Rhode Islanders are food insecure, meaning they are often unsure of where their next meal will come from. Health care is a human right.
Yes.
For this human right, we need public health activism. And finally, a tweet that I actually liked. On March 10th, 2016, Bernie Sanders tweeted, "A nation is judged not by how many billionaires and millionaires it has, but how it treats the most vulnerable people among us." Thank you.
I encourage each and every one of you to fight the resistance. We carry so much as women. We carry generations of figuring out how we are going to change the narrative and change the dynamic. Pick up a paintbrush, write your words, dance, move, sing, act. Plant your feet on this earth and resist. And use your voice to rise up and say who you are. Yeah! Thank you!
Sometimes rage must be shout, must be why, must be out, must be sigh, must be art, must be fierce and fearless heart.
Always love, must be other, must be boundless, must be up, must be Muslim, must be queer, must be thunder in our ears. Now change must be march, must be voice, must be charge, must be universal movement. 1 million women strong, our reverberation never cease.
Until the hate is gone.
Until the hate is gone.
Thank you.
Came here because we were facing the hate back in our country, and we couldn't make it so much tougher for us.
My family escaped from Eastern Europe.
Yeah, so imagine, you're not being allowed to enter the country just based on your religion. It's so tough. What do I tell my children who are born here, who are, they're just walking the streets and they're, getting all these signs from people, the hate signs, and like, Daddy, what did I do? Why did that guy tell that to me? And I'm like,
when you say hate signs, you mean like physical signs or like hand support?
Yes, everything. My wife, my daughters, they're just walking the streets. They just get this hate, and they're like, Daddy, why did that person say that to me? I'm speechless. I'm like, what do I tell her? I say, don't worry. Maybe he doesn't know. Just give your love back. That's all it is. this love that you give back.
Silence and the radiance of the Lord. Take a view and then you're a winner. Even the king will ask you to take the once you save your friends, you get the sinner. Once you save, but now you're a sinner. See a flash of gold in the corner of my eye. I look up there again and I know it's you. It's the radiance, radiance. It's the radiance of the radiance. Wow, 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 it's the radiance, radiance. What you have aboard? The radiance of the Lord.
Peter.
You've seen this one before.
Oh yeah. This is the Peter Nightingale theme. This is the pre-rally prep talk. Peter, why has the melting of the Arctic ice the timetable we need to set our moving to renewables by?
Because the Arctic is melting on the time scale of about 10 years, maybe 20 years. That is the time we have to act or else lose the climate globally. 10 years, maybe 20 years. Maybe those 10 years are 10 years into the past.
Right. Peter and I were with Fossil Free Rhode Island, and there's a lot of different groups here, and I'm going to go live with this in a few minutes, and then we can all hear what's going on at the rally.
Nature's Trust Rhode Island is taking a page out of what people are doing on the West Coast, which is suing the federal government because they're not taking care of the environment. The argument is simple. Government is the trustee of the environment and they're neglecting the trusts. What do you do under those circumstances? You take the bastards to court!
Fight back.
Fight back.
Look at this, 13 years old. I think in one of the new suits there's somebody that was 4 or 5.
I've seen that. Those are the kids in the USA are going to suffer, but there are lots of people across the globe who are suffering right now who have been suffering for a decade or more, and we shouldn't forget them. This is a global problem.
Yep.
All right, my name is Justin Boyan from Climate Action RI. Welcome to the Rally for Action on Climate Change. We are a grassroots group of concerned Rhode Island citizens here today because we are in a fight for the future of life on Earth. Our planet is being smothered under a blanket of carbon pollution, which is growing thicker and hotter and deadlier with every barrel of oil we burn. And facing this growing threat, well, what do you think the response has been? How would you characterize the response from our elected leaders, many of whom are in this building right here? Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah, Crickets, inaction.
Failure.
Platitudes, cowardice. At best, half measures from Democrats, and from Republicans we've seen obfuscation and denial.
Corporate greed.
On all sides, groveling for oil industry campaign donations. So we are in a fight for the future of life on Earth. We're here to demand that our leaders, the 32 governors in this building, I think I see some, and so-called Vice President Pence and Prime Minister Trudeau and all the rest meeting here today. We want you to wake up! Wake up!
Wake up! Use your eyes! Wake up!
Wake up to the climate catastrophe that's headed our way and take urgent, aggressive action to get us off of fossil fuels and onto 100% renewable energy. When our planet's under attack, what do we do?
I'm touched. It's so nice to live in Rhode Island and work here. One, climate change is real. It's happening. There's huge impacts, but there's no federal leadership. Therefore, you states, you governors, you mayors need to lead on this issue, right? You must act. Corporations and institutions are actually more in favor in doing things, you know. We've got to get more of them on the board too, you know, universities, hospitals, churches, and so on. But states need to lead. Thanks to the governors who signed this, you know, we're still in declaration, that was great. And then it clicked. So thank you to the governors who are acting on climate change. And they're more effective because they're acting together, and that's a big deal. Yeah. So that was point number 2. Governors, thank you, and you're more effective when you act together. The third thing, though, is we need not just statements, but we need action.
Yeah.
And there needs to be, you know, action that matters. That's not just in one sector or is just government, you know, leading by example. That's fine, but we need economy-wide reductions.
All right, our next speaker, on that cheery note, Alex Thurier of Providence College. She is a senior environmental studies major, co-president of EcoPC, and the student sustainability coordinator. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming out today. This is my first rally speech, and I am so excited to be here on this beautiful day. It also happens to be my birthday. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Environmental protection is not a political issue. It is a human issue. Nature is not going to wait for politics to sort themselves out. I want to stand up for our future and the longevity of human beings, animals, and plants because it is only fair to provide future generations with the same resources and the same quality of resources that we were all born with. Millennials and those in future generations are going to have to face extreme weather and changing rainfall patterns, more heat-related diseases and deaths, beach closures due to toxic algal blooms, and melting ice, like the trillion-ton iceberg that just broke off Antarctica, the size of Delaware, one of the largest icebergs ever recorded.
No, it's not working.
We also will have to face rising sea levels, which is a huge problem for us in Rhode Island as we are the ocean state.
Right there.
Downtown Providence will be hugely affected by this problem, as will all coastline areas. And not only are human beings affected and human infrastructure affected by climate change, but so are animals and plants. We need to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. We demand a switch to renewable energy to phase out dirty fossil fuels. We want a ban on fracking and all new fossil fuel infrastructure. We want a tax on carbon to make polluters pay. The time to act is now.
Okay, so please welcome the environmental leader, activist, and president of the Burrillville Land Trust, Paul Rizzoli.
All life depends on a healthy environment, clean water, breathable air. We demand you work towards more aggressive, progressive policies that make this happen. So what are you waiting for? Let's act together now! I come here today to ask you, the governors and leaders in North America, to quicken the pace of progressive responsibility when it comes to climate change. We can't wait any longer. So let's act together now! On May 31st, during oral arguments in Rhode Island Superior Court, town of Johnston, attorney William J. Conley said this about the process of selling water outside the borders of Johnston. Here's what he said. Oh, by the way, the waters are coming from the Scituate Reservoir. Here's what Conley said. Our water. Our understanding of the process, and frankly, according to Conley, said, we don't care. Why should we? If we turn on a spigot, the water goes into a truck. We don't care if it goes into a bottle, a truck. We don't care where it goes to. The spigots in the town of Johnston, they turn it on, we bill it, we bill them for it, and that's the end of the process. That's what Conley said about Scituate Reservoir. So to the governors here today, we demand that public water is never sold for profit, never sold to cool a power plant. Never. We ask that you enact policies that prohibit multinational companies from buying up public water supplies. We can't wait any longer, so let's act together now! That was really good. You know, in 2016, solar installations in New England was the largest new energy project in all of New England. That's going to be the case in 2017. To lessen the impacts of climate change, we're demanding the governors across the United States to develop incentive programs to hasten away from fossil fuels towards renewables. Let's not wait anymore. Let's act together now! Our labor force must be skilled in 21st century jobs. There's no way around it. Upgrading the nation's electric grid increases the efficiency of energy production. Providing funds to ratepayers for energy efficiency programs should never be dismantled and should never be raided on to pay for other programs. We demand nation's governors enact legislation that will ensure the integrity of these well-established first fuel programs. Make it happen. Let's act together now! And finally, our Rhode Island governor can be a leader, to be the first to ban fracked gas and oil from coming into our state. For the use of electricity production, period. End of story. Methane from leaking pipelines are a major source of global warming. Gas compression stations cause havoc and disturbance to anybody who lives near them. It's time to stop killing our planet by the use of fossil fuels. National Association of Governors, it's time to take action. We can't wait any longer. Come on! Let's act together now! Thank you very much.
Activist, filmmaker, artist, organizer, and founding member of Fossil Free Rhode Island, Robert Malin.
I'm going to start out with the question put in Shakespearean terms. To be on nature's timetable or to be guilty of reckless, if not willful, endangerment of life on earth. That is the question. Yeah. But, governors, great challenges are also means that they're great opportunities. One of the things that didn't get discussed is what's called sea ice albedo, which means that when the polar caps melt, when the planet is not as closest to the sun, it's not reflecting that heat anymore. So that means it goes into the ocean and goes into the air. They were saying just 4 or 5 years ago that that was going to happen at 2100. Now they're saying it's going to happen in 2030 or the 2030s. So that's why we have to be fossil-free by 2030, because when that happens, everything is changed. The planet is going to readapt in ways that we haven't imagined, because it hasn't this is not something that's happened. So, and all the carbon that we put up there now is up there. And all the methane that is leaking out of the pipelines and everything, that is accelerating it. What can be more insane than accelerating a fire that's about to burn your house down? That's essentially what we're doing. So if the governor is going to be a climate leader, we are calling on her when she's in there talking to the other governors to tell them that this is what a climate leader means. To power all sectors of our economy, including transportation, 100% renewables by 2030. That's when the polar caps are gone. To reject all proposals for fossil fuel infrastructure. Everything, pipelines, no more. To eliminate fracking and all forms of extreme extraction, such as mountaintop removal, mining, deep sea drilling, and tar sands, including its transport. Yeah, you can write. To appoint a climate chief mitigation officer to facilitate the transition. How are you going to do it unless somebody's directing it? To divest from fossil fuels, and that's something we can all do. Your bank invests in fossil fuels, take the money out, write a letter to the board, tell them why you're doing it. Push Congress to fully fund research on climate change, fulfill the promise to the UN fund to support adaptation and mitigation by countries that didn't do anything to contribute this. It's not funds for a just transition in our communities. All of these transition plans must have a social justice basis for them to work. To be committed to rejecting all proposals for additional infrastructure, like the Burrillville power plant, like the LNG terminals on Fields Point, or the Spectra lines that are promised all through the Blackstone Valley, the thing that we've been fighting to have a heritage corridor forever. Now we get that, and they're going to put fossil fuels through it, and they all leak. Every pipeline leaks. We need to start occupying these spaces. We need to be out there when they're moving the bulldozers in and stand in front of them and tell them, no, not in my state, not in my country, not in my world. When those lobbyists in there are twisting your arms and Justin Trudeau is telling you to back tar sands, we tell them to what? Keep it in the ground! When they're talking about mountaintop removal, blowing the tops off of mountains, we say we want you to keep it in the ground! And when they say they're going to frack, sticking chemicals down into the earth, ruining our water, when we know water is life, we need this to live. What are we going to say? Keep it in the ground! Folks, we got to get serious about this, and we have to act now. Thank you very much. Can we please have a huge round of applause for all of our speakers?